This is the third video in a three-part series doing a deep dive into real estate prices and statistics for the city of Surrey in 2025. The city itself is broken into four major areas as defined by the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. And those areas are North Surrey, Surrey, South Surrey White Rock, and Cloverdale. And this three-video series focuses on the three most prominent asset classes within the city, which are detached or single-family homes, townhomes, which are usually stratified and adjoined properties with exterior entry, and condos, which are legally the same thing as townhomes, but they are apartments, most often with interior shared hallways. And this video will focus on the detached market. But really quick, before I start the stats deep dive, this is a real estate channel focused on Greater Vancouver and across the Fraser Valley. So subscribe to the channel if you would like to stay up to date on the market. And please click the like button to help me grow this channel as we approach 20,000 subscribers. And of course, if you need help in the market in 2025, which is a very slow and hard market to deal with, well, you can book a call with me right now using the link in the description below at a time that works best for you. And now let's hop into the detached market with the most recent statistics provided by the fine people at the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board. Okay, so just so you know exactly what it is you're looking at here, the blue line is North Surrey detached homes. The red line is Surrey. That's kind of the center part of Surrey. That includes Newton, Panorama, Sullivan. South Surrey does include White Rock, even though South Surrey is technically the more expensive properties. And you can tell that by a mile right here. Obviously, the numbers being so high in South Surrey are going to reflect that in this graph. And then Cloverdale, which is the eastern part of Surrey, it's down the least in percentage. So Cloverdale is down 3.9%, but look at that dump just over the last month or so. Cloverdale lost $50,000 in a single month. South Surrey seems to have taken about the same amount of a hit. It's just kind of really tough out there right now for pricing. We did see a bit of a spring market here, which I actually personally don't believe. I don't service a ton of White Rock housing, so I didn't see what happened there. But generally speaking, we've seen this kind of downward trend over the last year, and the prices are reflecting that. If we look at median price, which I don't like to use, why? Because median price shows that prices went up last month in South Surrey. I don't necessarily think that happens. Likely just a more expensive homes sold. Average price will likely reflect the same thing. However, you're seeing downward pressure in Surrey, Cloverdale, and North Surrey. Average price, see again here, average price, like probably what happened in White Rock is you had a very high value property sell and that really dragged that number up. Or maybe in May, a really low price property or more low price property sold. You didn't have some luxury sales and that really skewed the numbers. But this is much more telling of what's happening across the city. And that is that Surrey, North Surrey, and Cloverdale are all slumping in pricing to the tune of 3.1%, 4%. Now it says North Surrey is up 7.5%, but that's going to be from a very dramatic low here for some reason from a year ago. I don't believe it. It is definitely a downward trend. Why is that happening? Well, it has to do with the amount of sales and actives. Now, this is actually kind of promising. Sales aren't so bad. Sales crept up in all areas, but they didn't creep up to a spot where we really need them to be with the amount of listings that are on the market. So we saw a lot of sales, 72 sales in South Surrey White Rock. Cloverdale was actually the most muted of the bunch, but sales are relative to the amount of new listings coming to the market. Thankfully, it looks like maybe things will start turning around because the amount of new listings started to sink. I do think it appears like May was kind of the peak of the market for new listings coming to the market this year, which you would expect. But the active listings on the market are really the tail of this marketplace because there's just so many that have stacked up. We're almost at 10,000 active listings across the entire marketplace right now. So Surrey is really stacked up. South Surrey, North Surrey, and Cloverdale all came back a little bit, but look how many active listings. It's basically up a quarter across the entire marketplace from the same time last year. So now we take active listings, divide it by sales. That gives us months of supply. And this is really the story about how, I don't want to say bad, but I'm going to say bad, how bad the market is across most of Surrey. So Cloverdale's not doing so bad. It's just barely in a buyer's market, avoiding a buyer's market ever so much. So I expect Cloverdale detached home prices to not do so bad. However, South Surrey, White Rock, Surrey, and North Surrey are all 12 plus months of inventory. The middle part of Surrey, this includes, like I said, the Newtons, the Panorama, the Sullivan, they're up to 15 months of inventory. That's double a buyer's market. I would expect that these prices will continue to come down quicker than, for instance, in Cloverdale. Sales to active ratio is basically the same number. What percentage of consumption is happening? And it is, I mean, it's coming up a little bit. It's a little bit better, but it's just not that favorable. I mean, when you're looking at Surrey being, well, North Surrey is 1 in 10 properties selling. So if you think about that, if you have your property on the market, you look at the 10 properties around you, only one of you is selling this month. And then likely only one of you is selling next month. And as prices continue to go down because buyers have lots to pick from, you're going to sell for more if you're 3, 4, 5 months down the road. Percentage of original price is definitely coming down. This is one of the lowest numbers I've seen. This is crazy, actually. 94.6%. I can't remember the last time I saw a 94% average original list to final sale price. But North Surrey, you're seeing that. Holy crap. No, I take it back. Look at South Surrey, 93.3%. That's saying the average home from when it originally was listed until it sold came down almost 7%. Those numbers are unheard of, but that's probably after some price reductions. It's still 5% off. Even after the price reductions, most people in South Surrey, White Rock are negotiating 5% off. Now, I shouldn't say this is too alarming because as you end up with these high price properties that are in South Surrey, I mean, I'm going to say this kind of funny, but not. If you're at $3.5 million, what's the difference if you're at $4 million? What's the difference if you're at $3.85 million? Like, once you get to a certain amount where you can't really tell where value is, now it's just rich people throwing around their money. So if it's 100 grand this way or 100 grand, like you can negotiate that price down a bunch more. So that's likely why I see it happening that way. And then average days on market, 44 in South Surrey. Cloverdale was 26. So Cloverdale's still one of the hotter areas. And this trend is happening. This is, I've said this on each one of the other 2 videos, but same thing happens here. If you're not sold within 28 days right now on the market, this means you need a price reduction because you should get serious showings, serious offers, and serious negotiations within that 26 to 30 day, 35 day period. So at 28 days, if you don't have like somebody going back and forth with you already, it's time to reduce your price. Zooming out on the 10-year market for HPI, I will say this is a little alarming to me just in the detached space is how quick this is kind of starting to tank. This is the only marketplace that I'm seeing, or the only asset class I should say that I'm seeing this happen in, where the prices are dropping very substantially. That shouldn't be actually a shocker to anybody because the months of inventory is 15 months. You're going to see prices come down quickly. But I just wasn't really expecting that detached market in South Surrey to start having the downward pressure that we are seeing now. And I do think that's going to continue likely for the remainder of the year. I don't know that it will drop at as fast of a rate as it has over the last 2 or 3 months. But if you are selling a home in Surrey, I would not expect the prices to turn around or even flatten out for the remainder of the year. And I think the sooner you sell is likely going to be a higher price unless you're prepared to hold on to that property for a number of years. So that's what's gone on in the detached market. But if you're interested in detached homes, there's a good chance you're looking to upsize from either a condo or a townhome. If that's the case, check out one of these 2 videos right now to discover if it's finally your time to upsize to that dream home that you've always wanted.